You don't have a protector. You have a big protector in me. You don't have a protector on the other side. And I've said long and loud, anybody, and especially over the last few years, anybody who's Jewish and loves being Jewish and loves Israel is a fool if they vote for a Democrat.
President Trump taking the fight to anti-Semitism as Israel's war rages on overseas. Let's bring in Rabbi Chaim Mentz from Chabad of Bel Air here in Los Angeles, Natasha Hausdorff, international law attorney and expert, and Christina Pascucci, former Democratic U.S. Senate candidate in California. Natasha, you're new to the panel, so of course you have to go first on this thing. I was fascinated by this because Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was asked about the pager attacks in Lebanon, and she said the following.
U.S. Department of Defense guidelines actually explicitly prohibits the use of booby traps, and they define booby traps as non-combatant devices, cell phones, things like that, being used and have explosives hidden in them.
And sticking to her plan and her theme is it's always Hamas is right, Hezbollah is right, Israel's always wrong. What do you think?
Well, there's a certain type of individual trace that discovers international law at times like these when they believe they can use it as a weapon against Israel. What we just heard there was legally illiterate. In fact, the military manuals of the US talk about the appropriate use of booby traps. But in any event, the pagers situation that we're dealing with, this extraordinary situation of Israel potentially, although we don't know who has real responsibility here, using Hezbollah-issued personal pagers to be able to get to Hezbollah operatives, talks about Israel's precision and its targeting, and the ability to distinguish between civilians and combatants in this extraordinary fashion. You can't really think of a better example of complying with international humanitarian law.
Yeah, I see you nodding, Rabbi.
Oh, you went after the soldiers. You didn't go after the people anywhere in Lebanon. That's number one. Number two, think about this was 5 years in planning, and everything was done perfect. My question is, the Jewish people are sitting and wasting their time making these little charges. We would love to make medicine. We would love to study Torah. The world would be better off, and we have to just think about how to go make little charges explode. The world would be better off if the world would just stop fighting with each other.
It's a very good point. The Daily Wire, Christina Pascucci writes the following: anti-Semitic California union prohibits Jewish teacher exodus. It goes on to say during Teach Palestine gatherings, for example, the union offered members curriculum to help educators bring Palestine into their classrooms. A project of the Middle East Children's Alliance, similar union-sponsored strategizing sessions across the state of California, representing a coordinated effort to brainwash children. And there's a lot more information coming out about California teachers unions that is not beneficial to the Jewish people in this state.
There was just something that came out with the Los Angeles Unified Teachers Union where they were trying to figure out how they could essentially indoctrinate the more than 500,000 kids that belong to that district by talking about the Palestinian cause. And I'm going to say what many people have been afraid to say. Teachers have told me that that union has become toxic. When you think about how kids are suffering, how they're not able to read at grade level, how the dropout rate for LAUSD is twice that of the state of California's average. I mean, these kids are suffering and they need to be put first.
Natasha, back to you now. The Wall Street Journal says maybe it's time for Jewish segregation. When the politics of a country swing too far in either direction, anti-Semitism is almost certain to come in its train. The swing today is unmistakably and strongly leftist, and self-segregation strikes me as the first step in combating the attacks on Jews that attend it. I mean, it's one of those things that you think is written in 1938. But the point really is how are you going to protect the Jews from all of these attacks?
Well, the really sad state of affairs is that emigration to Israel by Jewish communities around the world is at all-time highs. We're seeing Jewish communities under threat, as I say, around the world, coming from the UK, though, and travelling around the United States the last couple of weeks. I have to say, the support for the Jewish community here in the United States, I think, is second to nowhere else. And that is an extraordinary thing. It's one that I hope will continue across this election campaign, and one that it would be great to see more politicians making a commitment to support.
Nodding again, Rabbi. Go ahead.
You know, she hit the nail on the head, but think about it. Jewish people leaving a country just to have their lives to be safe? Are you kidding me? It shows there's a black mark on the countries that allow people to go and destroy the lives of innocent people. And let's think about it. Who are the ones that are doing it? These are the Palestinian drones, and you're trading the Jewish people that are here to help you in your country? Mind-boggling.
Christina, I've got about 10 seconds left for you. I'm out of time here, but you went to Aurora, Colorado today. You took the video we saw. Just give us your take on what's happening there.
Yeah, it was incredibly impactful to witness. These trained Aragua gang members appear to have targeted the most disenfranchised members or residents of Aurora, Colorado. And a resident described to me how he's been living in fear for a year. Already they were living in squalor. They had sewage backup, all these problems. Now the gangs come in, they're living in fear. Aurora says it's not a reflection of the entire city, but they have targeted these buildings. They've now arrested 8 of the 10 they've identified in their city.
And we're going to have more on that. Christina, Natasha, Rabbi, thank you.